What's up everyone, John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here, and I want to give you a head-to-head comparison of two of the probably 3 or 4 hottest smartphones out right now. On the left-hand side, we've got the new contender, Apple's iPhone 4, and on the right, we have what is one of the defending champs, Verizon's Droid Incredible. These are both very feature-packed, high-powered smartphones meant for professional users or power users. So let's go ahead and get this comparison started. We are going to cover display, aesthetics, power and battery, storage, camera, general features, speed, browser, keyboard, UI, and navigation. Obviously, we can make this list go on, but those are sort of the ones that I thought were most important, and we're going to declare a winner at the end of this. If you missed my video comparing the iPhone 4 versus the HTC Evo 4G, there'll be a link to that in the sidebar as well in case you're trying to decide which phone is right for you. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's talk about the display. The iPhone 4 is really being pushed and marketed as having the highest resolution and best display on any smartphone. I can tell you that that really is quite true. It's got a 3.5-inch screen with a resolution, which is really unmatched by any other smartphone, of 960 by 480. That essentially quadruples the resolution of the previous phone. Actually, the pixel density of the previous phone now is at 614,400. The Incredible has a little bit bigger screen, it's 3.7 inches, but a much lower resolution at 800 by 480. So there's a huge difference there in the screens, and when you look at the two phones and you use the two phones, you really can't see the difference. So the edge here clearly has to go to the iPhone for the display. Now let's talk about aesthetics, because this is really going to come down to what you like most, a phone you want to feel happy pulling out at a club or taking out at a business meeting. They both have some sort of unique looks to it. So the iPhone, I'll turn off that display. It's sort of a very classic iPhone look. It's very easily identifiable. You know it's an iPhone. However, the iPhone 4 does look a bit different. It's markedly thinner than the outgoing generation. It's got this very shiny glass-looking back. The camera now with the LED on the side. You've got sort of these slashes on the side for the antennas that are now broken. And you've got a micro SIM card slot on the side. There's the other antenna slot, and it's not necessarily broken, but that's where the seams stop. You've got now bigger volume up and down and your profile switcher. And on top, you sort of got that classic Apple look. The Incredible is a bit of a different looking phone. It's got sort of your classic smartphone look with the screen and navigation options. However, the back is a bit different. HTC says it's race car inspired, and take off the back case, it's all red underneath. You've got a big camera lens and dual LED flash. On the front, you've got haptic buttons and actually an optical trackpad. So the way the phones look is really going to be a personal preference for you. Personally, I like the way the iPhone looks, but I am an iPhone user, but I can certainly see why people would prefer the way the Droid Incredible looks. So this one has got to be a tie. It's going to be a personal preference. So next, let's talk about power and battery. Well, the iPhone 4 uses Apple's system-on-a-chip A4 processor, the same one that's found in the iPad. The clock speed hasn't really been reported yet, but it's estimated to be clocked down from the 1 gigahertz that we've seen in the iPad. Battery life, you're getting about 7 hours of talk time on 3G and 14 hours on Edge. The Incredible has a 1 gigahertz Snapdragon processor, which is becoming quite ubiquitous now in smartphones, and it's an extremely capable processor that really runs very fast. Battery life, though, is a different story. 312 minutes of usage and about 146 hours of standby. So processor to processor, it would be very competitive. The A4 and the Snapdragon really go at each other very nicely. But battery life, the iPhone far outshines the Droid Incredible. So this round, since we're combining it, is going to go to Apple. Next, we're going to go to storage. And this is where things get a bit interesting. Apple storage is all internal on a flash card in there, or a flash drive rather, either 16 or 32 gig configurations. The Incredible uses micro SD, which can be more expensive to buy if you want to get a 32 gig size, which is the largest currently supported. However, there are advantages to both. If you're going to use a lot of apps, you're not going to need to remove your storage. I think that the iPhone is going to be a better option for you. If you're a photographer and you need to constantly be changing cards and showing different things to different people, you're going to want that removable storage. You're probably going to want to pay the extra bit of money for more cards and the higher capacity. So you may prefer the Incredible on that front. For me, I'm sort of in the middle. So this one is going to be a tie between the two, because that's going to be a personal preference as well. So next, let's talk about camera. There are a lot to talk about and there's a lot to discuss. The iPhone has a 5 megapixel camera with an LED flash. I'll flip that over so you can see it. The Incredible, on the other hand, has an 8 megapixel camera with a dual LED flash. You can see those two right there. The iPhone can record video at 720p at 30 frames per second. The Droid Incredible can record video, but not high definition. The Apple iPhone actually brings something else to the table. It's got a front-facing 0.3 or VGA resolution camera for video calls, which we'll talk about when we get to the features. Video capture on the iPhone looks fantastic. It's crisp, it's sharp, and picture quality between the two phones were actually almost indistinguishable, so between the 5 and the 8. So the camera edge most definitely needs to go to the iPhone just for having the front-facing camera and the HD video. Really give it the edge in my book. Alright, so next let's talk about features. Both bring a very unique set of features to the table here. The Incredible running Android also brings HTC Sense UI, which has a lot of cool things. You've got sort of the snap feature, you can pick what home screen you want to jump to. It's very quick and very responsive, as you can see here. It also uses Google Maps navigation. It's a free turn-by-turn navigation option, which is sort of a great add-on for Android 1.6 or newer devices, and it works very well. The features that the iPhone 4 brings, you're going to get FaceTime, which is your video calling when over Wi-Fi. It works really, really, really well. You've got the Retina display, the high-resolution screen, and you also now have Wi-Fi N, so 802.11n, for faster data transfers when you're connected to an N-capable network. So sort of those core features give the iPhone a bit of an edge over the Incredible. So we're going to give this round to the Incredible. So next, let's talk about speed. These are both screaming fast. Let me show you what applications are currently open and running on each. We've got settings and browser, and on the Incredible, same thing, browser and settings. So we're sort of at the same standpoint here. So let's talk about browser speed. Both are connected to the same Wi-Fi network, and I want to show you how fast they load web pages. We're going to do this test, as I always do, for pages that you visit on a regular basis. So these pages have been loaded on each phone. We're going to try technobuffalo.com, and we're going to try my YouTube channel at youtube.com/John4Lakers. Let's go ahead and get this party rocking. Go ahead and open this up. We've got the YouTube channel already loaded here. And we've got the YouTube channel already loaded here. So we're going to do a simple refresh on each. Then we'll talk about sort of the browser features as we go. So we'll go ahead and hit that, and we will hit go at the same time, or let go at the same time. All right, and we're off, and these are both again connected over the same Wi-Fi network. And we did this test with the HTC Evo. We saw the Evo was much faster than the iPhone 4 in loading web pages. It looks like we had the same results here. The Incredible was noticeably quicker when loading web pages. And you'll also notice that it's actually trying to display Flash content here. You'll see Flash ads will show up in the upper right-hand corner because the Incredible can handle Flash-capable browsing, which is a really nice sort of addition to the phone itself. It's something that works terribly well. It's sort of choppy, and it's certainly a bit of a battery drain, but there may be times when you need it, and it's nice to have. Both are multi-touch capable. The multi-touch on the iPhone 4 is buttery smooth. Scrolling is very smooth. It's a little bit jerky on the Incredible, but it works very well. You can tap to zoom on both. So let's try another web page. Maybe this is just sort of an anomaly and not going to be a regular occurrence. Let's jump over to technobuffalo.com. We'll do the same thing here on the Incredible. Both are queued up. Let's go ahead and refresh both pages, and we'll see if the tests are accurate. And then we'll try loading a web page with Wi-Fi turned off, and maybe network to network, the iPhone is going to be faster, or maybe Verizon's is still going to be quicker. Let's go ahead and check this out. This uses everything, the browser, the processor, RAM, sort of puts everything together into one test. And again, over the same Wi-Fi network. And it looks like we're getting the same results. The Incredible is loading a bit quicker. The iPhone's catching up. So it might be a dogfight. They're almost at exactly the same place. iPhone's got the lead, maybe. Incredible's catching up. No, Incredible finished first, and the iPhone 4 finished just a few seconds later. So there you go, the Incredible was faster loading both web pages. Now let's try this turning off Wi-Fi and see if network-to-network how this is going to work. I've got about 5 bars of AT&T 3G, and this is going to vary obviously by where you are in location. And I have about 1 to 2 bars of EVDO. So this may not be the most fair test, but I do want to show you the network speed as well. And if Verizon's load faster over 1 bar, then you'll certainly know that there's a reason for it. All right, so we'll go to settings. I'm going to go ahead and turn off Wi-Fi. I'm going to do this on camera so you can see there's nothing fishy going on. And we'll jump into settings here. We'll go to wireless networks, and we'll turn off Wi-Fi. All right, so now we are using network to network. I now have 2 bars of 3G and 5 bars of 3G here on the iPhone, sort of in full disclosure. We'll go ahead and open up each, and we're going to refresh the page again. The green arrow there, and the go button there, and they are both off. And let's see which is quicker network to network. And it still looks like, well, looks like the Verizon's is a little bit quicker here so far. And again, this is going to vary depending on where you are location-wise. So Verizon's is done loading. Actually loaded very quickly, and AT&T finished up just a second later. And this was with Verizon having fewer bars. So sort of interesting to note. All right, let's go ahead and move on to application speed and see if things load quicker or slower on both. So we'll go ahead and jump home. Let's go ahead and pick sort of similar applications. How about we try camera as always a good one to see. And I know this is a very unscientific test. Different operating systems open applications differently. But let's just see the speed just for fun and see if there's any sort of difference. Oops, I missed it right there. Didn't get it at the same time. Let's try that one more time, and of course they open in the background. There we go. So it looks like the iPhone 4 opened in just a little bit quicker by not much. Let's try a different application. Let's try opening, let's see what we got. Find something that is of similar. Let's try, all right, we'll try opening up settings since both's been opened up on each. Something everybody has to open. So about the same. So I've noticed when you open applications, the speed, they're both screaming fast. But web browsing, there is still a difference over Wi-Fi and over the networks with the two devices. So speed most definitely has to go to the Incredible. So something to keep in mind. The browser we sort of talked about, you sort of saw it in action, saw how it worked. Whether or not you like Flash or don't like Flash, it's going to be sort of a personal preference. But both browsers are very capable and can handle sort of the content very nicely. So for me, I prefer sort of the smoothness of the browser on the iPhone. I can live without Flash, but I recognize others are really going to want the Flash and may be able to give up sort of that smoothness to have that capability. So browser most definitely has to be a tie as well. So let's go ahead and jump into keyboard. Now I do want to give sort of full disclosure. I am an iPhone user, so I'm more used to the iPhone keyboard, but I have gone on the record as saying I really do like the way Android implemented text input. But let's go ahead and see how this works. So I will jump into messages. I'll go to new message. And one feature about Android, or newer builds of Android that I really like, is that text-to-speech, and it works really, really well. You tap it, say what you want, and the text shows up. And it's almost all the time very accurate. So let's do a quick test here, and I also like the autocorrect on the keyboards. Android does a very nice job, so I'm going to type something here. Let me go ahead and back up, actually. I want to type in the compose field. Invalid recipient, that's all right. I'm trying to type Winnie the Pooh sounds gross. Minnie the Pooh sound gross. So it wasn't that far off. Haptic feedback when you type, but you also can have a landscape keyboard. And again, in full disclosure, I am not as used to this keyboard as I will be to the iPhones. So let me try this one more time. Minnie the Pooh sounds gross. A little bit better there, but not that far off. And let's try now the keyboard on the iPhone and see how this one functions. I'll go ahead and open up Notes, and I will open up a new note here as well. And we'll see how this works. So we got two keyboard options the same way. I'll try this again. So Minnie the Pud spuns gross. Not so accurate there either. Let me try it this way. So a little bit better there. Winnie the Pooh sounds gross. A little bit more accurate. Now I'm trying to fight my desire to give the edge here to the iPhone. That's just because I'm used to it. I think the keyboard itself is easier to use on the iPhone, but the text-to-speech on Android is a huge advantage. So keyboard to keyboard input here, I'm going to give that a tie. Because again, that's going to be a personal preference. I'm trying to be as impartial as possible. So let's talk about UI as well, because there's a lot to sort of discuss in UI and how you navigate through the phones. So the iPhone is really, this thing is how you're going to use to navigate. Very few buttons other than the home button. all your navigation is sort of done with your finger, whether it's pinching and zooming or moving around or making folders by dragging icons. It's all done with your finger. Really, there aren't many menu buttons. Navigation, however, on the Droid Incredible is much the same way, but a bit different. You can see you've got 4 menu buttons across the bottom, and you also have an optical trackpad, which sort of works almost like a little bit of a mouse. You can scroll it, push through, and you can push it in to select if you'd like. Operating system to operating system, very different sort of methods. Apple does a fantastic job with a closed environment. If you like sort of living within Apple's walled garden and you don't mind having sort of those restrictions, you know the phone's going to work very well. It's going to sync with everything that you need it to, and it's going to be a very smooth and seamless experience. Android is a bit more open. You can certainly live within the Google Apps atmosphere and certainly just use Gmail and apps from the marketplace. But the operating system itself is much more open and can be customized a bit more. That's really going to come down to the user, what sort of preference you are going to prefer. Both now handle multitasking, which is sort of the big difference between the two at a later date. So this one here is also going to be a tie. So I'm going to go ahead and tally this up now. Display went to Apple. Aesthetics was a tie. Apple got power and battery. We get a tie for storage. Apple got the camera. Apple got the features. Incredible got speed. And we get a tie for browser, keyboard, and UI. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds that were a tie. Apple got 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds that Apple won. And Incredible won 1 round. So that means our winner of the iPhone 4 versus the Droid Incredible is the iPhone. That does not, by any stretch of the imagination, mean the Incredible is a bad choice. It's a fantastic phone with a lot of options, but if you're stuck looking at which one to get, I think that the iPhone is probably going to be the best choice for you. Again, but if any other features I mentioned sort of are more of value to you, like you want the open environment, then the Droid Incredible is going to be a really solid choice. Anyway, guys, I'm John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like the videos. I have a ton of iPhone and Droid coverage up there, as well as a ton of these Versus videos. Be sure to check out the website, technobuffalo.com, for all your tech news, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.